all is well on this beautiful Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Rhyme. I'm your girl, Lady B, hip-hop historian representing Philly. My man by my side, Charlie Mack Man. Is that your new name, Charlie? Charlie Mack Man.
Absolutely, Charlie Mack Man. Everybody need a great sidekick. Listen, hey B, let me tell you something. I wouldn't even have it no other way. Yes, like to me, the perfect seating is you in the captain's seat and I'm in the co-captain's seat. That's the perfect seating. Like
and
that's hip-hop.
You're the best co-pilot ever. You're the best co-pilot ever. I appreciate you, Charlie. We got a decent panel tonight, Charlie. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. First, ladies first. My sister, the one and only Angie Stone, aka Angie B, is in the building. Excuse me, with her fly glasses. Just know that.
Okay.
Yeah. With her fly glasses.
Okay, to the captain.
That's one thing. That's one thing.
Angie Stone. What's my other name, girl?
Angie B.
You ain't never said that. I said that.
We're on a hip hop panel.
You always gonna be Angie. Don't get me started. Don't make me go there.
Okay.
That's my sister and I love her. Welcome, Ange. All right. Hip hop. You talk about historians. Yo, this man, look, come on now. Fab Five Freddie is in the building.
Freddie in the building.
Looking as cool as he is still in 2020.
Okay.
The crib with the glasses and the hat. What?
Okay, just exactly same. What's up with
that's
that?
why they call him Fab Five Freddie.
Y'all, let's say
let's keep this going.
Listen, that stands for he's been fabulous for 5 decades.
You know what? And then some. And then some. And 5 more to go.
Thank you, Charlie.
All right.
What's up, Andrew? What's up, all of y'all? This is incredible, baby.
All right. So also in the building, this brother is spiritual. He's about his people. Hip hop all the way through and through. Bun B, where you at, boo? Where you at?
H-Town legend, hip hop legend. DJ in the building.
Real Queen Angie B.
That's right.
Real king in the building.
Yo, the B's got it. You already know that, right?
No.
Can we talk about how Fat Five Freddie is ageless?
He looked like he just came out of an MTV video. Okay.
Yes.
That's crazy.
All right, it's ridiculous.
I'm a vampire.
Whatever, dude. I got a picture with you. You look just like that. That's all I'm saying. And I ain't seen you in 15 years. All right, listen, as we continue with our panelists tonight, because this is really going to be a good one. This man pays my check. He signs my check. He is my boss. He is my boss. I'm gonna need y'all to do me a favor and welcome my man Colby Colb to the building.
Colby Colb in the
building.
What's up, everybody?
Colby Colb in the building.
I don't sign your check, Lady B.
Yo, boss. I know it's a virus going on, but when this is over, we gotta talk raise. I'm working hard over here, as much you know.
Okay,
that's another story. Anyway.
That's right.
We are doing the damn thing tonight. Did I miss anybody? We all good?
You did miss somebody. You did. You missed you missed what?
Hold up.
Come on now.
Let me tell you. That's because I left him on the sidewalk crying when he was a kid. Because he's so damn bad and he gets on my last nerve. What? You know that family member that you have that's all wrong all the time, but you still gotta love them through and through. Everybody, the original gangster rapper, my boy, my brother, I love him so. Schoolie D in the building.
I feel different about him. I think
all that nice shit about Bun B. I hope they talk about me.
You know what? No, I definitely wasn't talking about your crazy ass. No, I wasn't. Anyway, y'all, listen.
The OG.
We're gonna have time for banter in a minute, but we wanted to start the show off the right way. Shout out to Nelson George. We all know we have suffered a big loss this past weekend with our man Andre Harrell, and Nelson was kind enough to lend us this piece that he did. So, Charlie, do your thing.
I just want to I want to take a moment of silence out for our brother, the creator of New Jack Swing, Uptown, Money Under Mount Vernon, our brother. We love him. We love him dearly. Andre Harrell, if we could take a minute before we actually show this clip, I want to take a minute to take a beat. So we can take a 60-second, just quiet, and just think about our brother in Greek here. All right. And in addition to, Lil Richard,
Uptown's kicking it. Uptown's kicking it.
Uptown's kicking it. In addition to
go there, baby.
Betty Wright and Lil Richard. In addition to
Yeah, for sure.
Legendary.
Three great legends. So with that being said, I want to actually now play a clip that Nelson George actually provided us with. Thank you, Mr. George. Yes, Fab.
I was just going to tell you that this clip was from the
Uptown Records, former president of Motown, and chairman of Andre Harrell Entertainment. What's the significance of this confirming his presence? The significance to me of this photo is that finally hip-hop has grown up and being treated as a serious artistic form that should be documented.
Amazing you to see some of the artists here today.
It was amazing for me to see that y'all were able to find Cool Keith. Find Kid Creole. How mature all these artists are now. Like how calm and grown, menish these artists. Like they always portrayed as like, you know, gangsters and violent. And all I see is black men giving each other hugs and fond wishes and looking prosperous.
What's your role?
I'm Dr. Jekyll. Suit and tie, still crazy fly. Dr. Jekyll.
I'm sorry.
That's
Say
my
it again,
role.
baby. Can I get your name again?
My name is Dr. Jekyll. My role is to say suit and tie fly.
Suit and tie fly.
What's the
That's
last
right.
you dropped?
Champagne and rap.
What year was that, man?
1984.
So, are you thinking about resurrecting? Are you here to resurrect?
I don't know. I think I'm just going to enjoy my stature as an old man in the game right now.
Never old man.
That was Nelson, a little bit of Nelson.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Dre.
Wow.
Let's keep it 100. I'll start this off. This is hard for me. I didn't know we had plans to do this. I took this one real hard to the heart. But I'm sure during that minute that we just gave Andre, everyone had something they could smile about when you thought about him. Yeah. And that speaks volumes of the kind of man that he was, just to all of us personally. Let's not talk about the forever footprint that he has left us with. You know, everyone's in the news talking about, you know, Andre's Puffy and Mary and Hev and Al and the whole, you know, Finesse and Sequence. You know, that was my family. I was there in Brooklyn with them. But what all of us know to be true is that Andre was an old man when we were kids. Andre is the only one I knew that young talking about stocks and how to get money and how to get paper. And he directed every black man that wanted to do his own label back then, who was an independent on just how to do it. He was just so smart. He was smart beyond his means. And I'm going to miss him. I know we're all going to miss him, but we're all blessed to just, you know, if you want to tell your kids about an example of a man with an idea, with a vision, and bringing it to fruition, you can always use him as an example. I can't wait to see a story about him put up in a hip hop museum somewhere, because he was dope. He was dope.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's amazing. What's amazing. The fact that, you know, people were saying how many people were saying about Andre didn't get his flowers, you know, while he was here. But he just actually did a deal with BET to actually produce the Uptown Story. So that's already in the works. So I'm saying, you know, God works in mysterious ways, you know what I mean? For him to actually put that, you got to figure it's been 34 years this man been in business. It's the first time he actually went on. I had several meetings with him about doing his story. And so for him to actually get with Jesse, and Jesse's going to do it to justice.
I hope so. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, Jesse Collins and Andre is very, very calculated, and he's very thorough about who he actually chose. Robbie Reeves is going to do an amazing job. Jesse Collins is going to do. I don't know who the director is going to be, but I know those two right there, especially what's going on right now, they're going to treat that with the highest level of respect and regard, and make sure that we get the greatest tribute on film.
Yo, Fab Five Freddie. Fab Five.
I want to share something else. I want to share something else too.
What?
So I have this platform called Brotherly Love Sessions, and Andre actually he approved it Thursday night. Of course, he transitioned on Friday. He sent me this on Thursday night, if y'all can see it.
No, read it. Read it to us. We can't see that. Read it.
So what he did was he sent me this, and he says, okay, let's do it. He said, I want to put Joe Biden's campaign into vote or die, 10-page point program. I said, whatever you want, Andre. He said, let's talk tomorrow. Let's do it. Now, he sent me the 10-page PowerPoint with the plan that he wants to be implemented to Joe Biden. I'm like, how'd that get in my lap? I have it.
We're supposed to, and we have to do it.
And so with that being said, I want to bring that to the room and say to you all, what am I to do with it, and how do you think we should move about that?
You just told us, and we're going to move forward.
I want to jump in here right away because, first of all, I just got off the phone just before this with Alonzo Brown.
I need his number.
Okay, we'll do that after this. But so I want to tell the people that may not know the history of Andre Harrell, how he began.
That's what I was about to call you in for. Let's talk about it because I went on your page and you were the one who said, "Look, Andre Harrell, whatever," but I know Dr. Jekyll. Talk about it, Freddie. Talk about it.
So basically, Andre Harrell begins as a rapper in the early 80s. It was a rap group called Jekyll and Hyde. He was Dr. Jekyll.
AM, PM, what? Don't get me started.
Alonzo Brown was Mr. Hyde. My favorite record that they did was called AM, PM.
Yes.
For y'all youngins out there, if you don't know, you know how to go right to YouTube. All the songs are there. I played it like 25 times on Saturday to get the sadness off to just AM, PM all night long.
I was in it the other night, crying and getting it. That was my joy. Yes.
So that's how Andre got in the game. And I remember meeting him in the 80s. But Andre was like, yo, I want to be an executive. When you see what they're wearing suits that people in hip hop, didn't wear suits. And they was him and
I wear suits. Fuck that shit.
Schoolie wore suits.
Schoolie did wear suits.
Schoolie wore all kinds of stuff. You wore suits for a different reason. You was wearing a suit because you were a pimp. Get off the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole different reason.
Go ahead, Fab. Finish the story.
Go ahead, Fab.
I just want to set up the background because that's how I met him. And I remember when I met Andre was saying how he wanted to be an executive. He was going to be in business. And he started working closely with Russell to figure that out. And then he had these amazing visions. Like Andre would constantly be describing this image of this sexy kind of R&B meets hip hop that had a Harlem energy. He just had an amazing way of constantly letting you know what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then he did it. And that was Uptown, New Jack Swing. And it was just like, wow.
And he did it. And the rest is history, for sure.
Angie, what's your recollection of Andre?
Well, man, let me tell you, I'm listening to everybody's stories, and let me just tell you, and Freddie, you might remember this. My relationship goes deep because we did the actual first show in the Roxy where we moved hip hop from uptown to downtown, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was on that show. After Bambaataa and the Sequence, along with Lil Rodney C and KK Rockwell, Double Trouble. And that was the show that I bust my butt for. We did all the hard work for, and we actually had a flyer together. Little did I know that we would run into each other much years later when I became a songwriter for MCA Music, and there I was working with Mary J. Blige and some of the other artists, and saw Puffy running around there learning everything from Andre. It was just a magical moment to see a brother that was sharing the stage with me now running the show. So I have to say my humble beginnings with that from an artist to artist to respect was we ripped it. We are single-handedly responsible for jumping off hip hop from uptown to downtown.
That's right. That's right. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest and those glasses. You gotta say it.
Bun B.
Yeah.
Bun B. What is your recollection? And if you had an encounter with Andre, what was yours?
Well, I met Andre several times in my life, and I think the main characteristic that you would describe him with was like focus, right? And every time I ever talk to Andre, he's sitting next to you, he put his hand on your shoulder, he give you all his attention, and you felt like the most important person in the world. Yeah. He always had really good advice to give you. It seemed like any scenario that you could come up with, whether it be personal or professional. Andre had like, you know, a direction for you to go in for. Like if he couldn't give you the answer to the question, he could definitely point you in the right direction, you know. And he was really just a really genuine person. I've been trying to find a picture that he wasn't smiling in or laughing in.
Oh God, yes, thank you.
That's impossible. I've been digging for pictures for 2 days now, trying to find some good ones.
Oh, but you know what? I got to tell y'all something that I did the other day, which I had to call my daughter to tell her friends. So if you got to go on Andre's Instagram page and read down through about the last 20 or 30 of his posts. A lot of them are these little text messages where he just put text on. Very inspiring, but I could hear Andre's voice reading each one of them, and every one of those things he did. Plus, Charlie, he put up some stuff about politics and stuff too. So I got this. When you said that, I was like, wow, I just saw that on his Instagram page.
Yeah,
where he was focused and wanting to bring back Vote or Die. That was something that Puffy had in 10 or so years ago to get us to register to vote. Andre was like, it's time for Vote or Die.
If there was ever a time for Vote or Die, it's now. Schoolie, what you got to say about Dre?
I met him. It was like 3 o'clock in the motherfucking morning. I was in New York. And we was doing a show at the Fever. And it was just, he come busting in, him and Jack, they come busting in and say, man, where's Schoolie D at, man? You got to be on stage in 30 minutes. He was in the back smoking weed and shit. Like, man, this shit ain't professional. It's time to get high. So he made us put the weed down. And he was just like, you know, check me out. She was wearing my suit, suit. He said, man, you want to fly, but this the
oh my God.
Yeah, appreciate you for that show.
Yeah,
appreciate you for that too.
And they want to hear Gucci Town.
Yes.
Kill your ass. They want to
Come on,
I'm going to get you. I'm going to make it safe for you. He got us in, man. We went in, man, and we fucking killed it. And
now y'all understand my introduction. Yo, Colby.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been running
because every time
you know what? Hush it. Hush it. Just sit down. Yeah. Colby. Let's share your story about Andre.
Well, actually, the great thing about Andre for me is first of all, AM/PM was an impact record. I was a kid. It was an impact record when it came out. I mean, a big song that comes out, shuts the city down. Everybody loves his DJ, cuts it back and forth. So I was very familiar with him, but I first met him when he went to Uptown, and I'll never forget, because I was literally just getting started. I had just met you, like this is like 86, 87. And I remember the symbolism of Uptown kicking it, because the music industry was white, stodgy, and they looked at us like we were niggas, and you know, our music didn't mean anything.
Talk
Big deal with Uptown, then has the balls to do a video walking in, kicking in the boardroom.
It's sprinkle all that class on hip hop.
Yes. We hear
Uptown kicking it.
The most important part of that was, and I explained it when he died. I was explaining it to young people that follow me, and I was saying, you don't understand how hard it is to break down those doors. And everybody on this panel knows these doors, because we've seen them shot on us. But he comes out and he symbolizes that I'm here for Black culture, and everything that this man has done in his entire career was for Black culture. And so, radio person sitting back, I was there. Yeah, Mary J, all that stuff happened, but to go back to Uptown's kicking it, he was a visionary on what he was going to do in the business, and he mentored so many of us in this business.
Wow, I just gotta say that video was in my timeline a whole lot, and it's interesting when you see the intro. It's actually Nelson George sitting next to this white record exec, kind of telling them, something new, and then Andre kicks in the door and is Uptown kicking it.
It was epic.
And the whole roster at that time. Heavy D comes in, Father MC, and they just, it was the beginning of Uptown. That was
he hired Marley Marl to do the music. Marley Marl was the up-and-coming producer at the time.
That's right.
He had the bridge and all that, and he produced all that.
That's right. He says Marley Marl. That's right. It was incredible. Yes.
It was incredible. You know, my funniest thing when I think about Andre and Puff You know when Puff did the whole making a band and made everybody run the juniors? Well, that's how Andre used to make Puffy run. He had to go to juniors. He had to go here. He had to go there. He made Puffy.
But you know what? He ran. He ran with no problem.
But no, Puffy came back and took it out on his kids. He was like, "Now y'all run, like y'all run."
Yeah.
Talk about work ethic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Puffy was serious. He was hungry. He was. I mean, he went for his. I was there and I watched him. Yep. I'm like, who is this kid? He never looked back. When it was time to move, he made that move.
Yeah. Right. You know, funny story about Albie Shore. I wish he was on here to co-sign this, but you know, Albie wanted to be a rapper, and then Albie wanted, you know, he was a dancer behind Hev and blah blah blah. And when Quincy Jones had that Sony Innovator contest,
right.
And Al and Andre said, Al, see if you can sing this, you know, this falsetto. You know, and Al kicked it and won the contest. Like, who knew? I'll never forget that day. I was in Andre's office. We were laughing so hard. We just couldn't believe. We were like ecstatic that, here we come with Night and Day. It was crazy.
Yes.
It was crazy. That was actually there that day. That was bananas. Like he was, I think he didn't sleep. I think he just stayed up all night, just coming up with different ideas and in a way to execute them in the morning. I don't know. Remarkable, just remarkable. That's all I can say about a brother. Just
and I think that one of the things that Andre did when he came into that big conglomerate, he brought a bunch of young, hungry artists to the table, and because he actually, in my opinion, he changed the whole concept of what music should be. He was edgy, and he brought in hungry newness. And what happened was the big wigs, they didn't know how to handle that because it's taken the diaphragm right now the mantra has been set, and that's why the millennials are running things. Andre is responsible for that millennial mentality.
For them taking a hold of their own reins. I was there at MCA. You know, I had my artists. I spent a lot of time with you. Ain't never lied because they just shook their head and just watched it happen.
They watched it happen.
They had no choice, but they couldn't believe it.
Carol Ware and all of them that were sitting out,
girl,
they did not have a clue because you know at that time when Uptown came, you had Jodeci, you had Father MC, you had Mary J. Blige, you had all of these young kids over, and then you had young Puffy running everything. So he was bringing everything younger to the table. It was crazy.
It was a hell of a plan, and it came off.
Yeah.
All right, we've given this respect to Andre, but we don't have much time, and I got to talk to y'all about y'all lives and what you're doing and how you're making it through this nightmare that we're living. No, it's a nightmare, girl. I'm tired of saying.
Well, you know, I'm gonna say mine and get on out the way because I'm on my IG and I'm on my platform doing my ministry because I think right now to talk about it, be about it, walk this way, because at the end of the day, we've got to focus and line up with the will of God. The things that are going on in this world prophetically and prophecy wise are falling into place, and people who don't know, who have not paid attention, are really not up to speed. So I'm walking in that. At the same time, I'm still being creative and doing sketches for reality shows. I just had a big meeting pitch with WeTV that's going on, but in the pandemic world, I'm staying at home. I'm being obedient. I'm putting on my mask, my gloves, but I'm loving on my family. What I will not do is allow the world to dictate a fear that puts me in a position where we can't love each other. And at the end of the day, that you can't be fearful and have faith and expect favor. And the way that I'm walking is, I'm gonna go to the store if I need to go to the store. I'm gonna cover up. I'm gonna come back in and I'm gonna love on my grandkids and my kids. In the story, die.
You're going to cover up and be covered because that's you know what I'm saying.
Always.
That's how that go. That's how that go. Fab Five Freddy. So when you go outside, do you have a mask that matches your hat and your glasses? Like how we doing this, dude? Like
no, I'm not that fly. Actually, you know, I'm here at home in Harlem. Luckily, there's a really nice mid-sized supermarket right around the corner that I do go to. I stand online to be some people waiting and going, but it's heavy. You know, I mean, it's really unfortunate that here in New York is the epicenter with, unfortunately, far too many people of color, Black and brown, who are not eating right and have health conditions that unfortunately are disproportionately affecting us. I took part in this big Robin Hood benefit that was televised all through. It was almost on every channel here in New York City just a few nights ago. They had a little hip hop thing. to get the message to people, like to help people in New York. So I've been getting involved in some of that. There was also the hip hop museum, like 2 weeks ago, had a similar online raise awareness. It was a fundraiser for the New York healthcare workers. And once again, just like we're doing here, and that was good. And aside from that, I'm making art. I'm working on some film and TV ideas in development. I don't know if some of you guys might have seen a film I directed about the history of cannabis in America, its connection to music, and also the criminal justice situation. That film is called Grass is Greener, which was on Netflix, and that came out a year ago on 420. If you keep the cannabis heads, you know 420 is like cannabis holiday.
You're still fabulous out here. Okay, you are still
yeah, I'm on my brand. So
I wouldn't expect anything else from you, and I've been praying for y'all up there because it was hectic to say the least.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't know whether you guys knew that Rodney C was a victim of COVID.
No,
and thank God. Yeah, he was. It was touch and go. That's my son's father, Lil Rodney C, on the Funky 4+1 More.
Original hip hop.
Double Trouble.
That a feature.
We get a disturbing phone call that he's in. He stayed for about 10 days. He just got released a couple of weeks ago. Thank God he survived. So I just wanted y'all to know, because I don't know whether you guys knew.
And you know that's my boy. Tell him I love him. That's amazing.
I know. I talked to him today and I asked him how's he doing. He said, "Man, I'm not 100%, but I'm there." So we got to keep him lifted. You know, at this point.
We do. I got a couple friends. We know we got Jeff, we got Corey. You know that made it through. It Monty G from the Tough Crew. It's scary. It's so scary. While I got my boss on the phone, and I ain't saying it just because he's my boss or whatever, but I am blessed that the station allowed me to broadcast from home in real time. Because if there was ever a time for us to be close to our people and give them information in real time, this ain't no time for no pre-taping, no shit. This is time to keep it 100 with them. And I mean, shout out to my hip hop community. Everybody's been calling in every day, you know, encouraging people to stay prayerful and hopeful and stay home and stay apart. I am fearful that the African American community is not paying close enough attention, especially our kids. They're still gathering at the plateau. They don't understand about this second wave that's going to come upon us in this coming winter. So we just got to really, if there was ever a time to be our brother and sister's keeper, it is now. And with that said, Bun B, talk about what you've been doing, man, because you got
it going on. Yeah, I'm looking at
you're incredible, and you're a giver like me, and I just want to jump through here and hug you because I love givers.
Yeah, I do the same thing in Philly here. So definitely, let's speak on it.
No. So we've been trying to make sure that the people that are usually forgotten in times like this are attended to. You know, so we see initiatives going on all around the city, and so we're trying to stay in constant contact with the city and the mayor to make sure that people in normally underserved neighborhoods can get the help they need. The primary thing was making sure that testing was available to them in proximity, right? Because they're going to set up these testing sites around the city, but they're going to be more accessible to certain groups of people than others.
Sure.
So you want to make sure that people of color have access to everything that everyone else has right now.
Yeah. And I'm on some grassroots. I'm trying to find out from Pookie, and I'm like, who's doing testing? Where we doing? You got to let them know, like right now, because they really aren't paying us any attention.
You're right, sis.
And try to make sure that they're smart about what they do with their resources right now. You know, just trying to let people know, like, look, if you are lucky enough to get one of these stimulus checks, like, don't go to the mall, don't go shopping, don't go blow this money, because this is going to be an extensive situation. Like, what's happening now it's going to get worse before it gets better. And if we get another wave, of this in the fall going into the winter, and not only are people quarantined, but people can't work again, it's not going to be a good Christmas for the children. You know what I'm saying?
It's not going to be good. This year is not going to be good, and it's so true.
And when these kind of things happen, you know what I'm saying? Violence tends to spread, violence tends to grow. And so we want to make sure our communities are protected as well, and just tell brothers, like, don't do nothing stupid right now. You know what I'm saying?
This ain't the time to go to jail for sure, because inmates are not having a good time with this COVID either. This
is one of the worst times in
This is what I'm telling young boys in my community. This is the worst time for you to do some dumb ish and go to jail. Because you're going to mess around and do something dumb and minor and die. This is not a time to be going to jail for no dumb ish. It really ain't.
Ain't no good time to go to jail.
Yeah, but right now it really ain't because you ain't coming back out. You know how y'all are. Y'all think y'all gonna go in, do a bit, come out. No, this time your ass might not come back out. Okay.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell y'all something like this. I'm gonna tell you, Freddie, I'm glad you're on here. Every Friday I have Funky Fridays. And the Funky 4+1 comes on that motherfucking rapping and rocking the house. My kids is tired of hearing that shit. You know,
that's your anthem. It's short enough.
And I see Roger all the time, and I tell him he don't believe me. He don't believe me.
Yo, that is Schoolies-ish. Yes, it is. That is his all-time intro music.
I just watched the short documentary about it. I didn't know that because I love both sides of that shit. And they switched to the other side. And they got the man's wife doing the French part. Man, that shit changed. That shit was beyond hip hop. And I tell cats, man, that shit is sophisticated. That was a sophisticated funk. It played every week in my house.
Wow.
Those motherfucking records. And I know
they were hard workers, man. I gotta tell you, they were extremely hard workers.
Yeah. Right? And they inspired us, and I got all my records all those records that I bought. The grooves is running out. I got 5 copies apiece.
You probably stole them from me.
I did.
I have to ask the question. I have to ask the question. I mean, I'm such a huge, seriously, Schoolie D fan. Like that. Yo, PSK, when them records came out, B, listen. I'm talking the realest heads in these New York streets, B. It was a problem. What inspired those records? That raw simplicity. Please explain it.
I was put here on this planet to do that. And I'm gonna tell you, when I saw Richard Pryor do, and now I knew record is built on this record. That nigga crazy. I stayed up and watched Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson brought him on. And I said, Mama, when I grow up, that's what I want to do. But I want to have music behind it. And they said, nigga, you're crazy. And that goes to. So I just, you know what? I was born to be an artist. But
I mean, those records, PSK is making that dream.
Let me tell the story. First of all, let me just tell you. Let me answer the question. Fab,
please.
He did nothing but take his real life, and put it into words, and put it over music. There is no. Listen. You have no idea. Listen, the first songs that he brought to me. The first song that he brought to me, he will tell you this. They had so many curse words. I mean, I've never heard, I've been doing this for 39 years. I have never heard a song with that many MFs in my life. So he came to me begging me, I need to play. You got to play my joint, B. And I'm like, and how am I going to do that and keep my job? Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, how the hell? So I had, may he rest in peace, Jeff Mills was my DJ. This man was a splice edit master.
Jeff Mills.
Yo, this brother could slice, man. He was a Ginsu on a song. So Schoolie's 8-minute song got cut down to like 3 and change.
Which one?
Everyone he ever brought us. Everyone. He didn't want to do radio edits. So in order to play him, I had to do my own radio edits. That's until they told him that he had to. That's until they told him, well, if you want this to go further than Lady B's show, you're going to have to do some radio edits. But when he first came to me, mother F this, that, and everybody and everything, and it was horrible.
Think about it. Baby B, think about it. Back in the day, they would have a blue hour on WDS FM after 12, and they played records with cuss words in it. So I was ignorant. I didn't understand that you couldn't cuss.
They didn't say the curse words that you said, Schoolie.
I didn't understand because
I can't even say the words that you said because I'm a lady and people are watching. So just shut up. Shut up.
Those original tapes, do you still have them?
My family have them. They won't let me.
Of course. Of course he does. Let me tell you something. Schoolie was so happy when I got on Sirius Satellite Radio because he said, "This is syndicated. I can curse, can't I?" I was like, "You can, but I wish you would." And he was like, "Oh, mother effing this! It's gonna be a mother effing night. We can't help it." So go ahead, Charlie.
So with that being said, speaking of Schoolie, so Eazy-E, God rest his soul, and Cube and NWA and Ice-T actually credit Schoolie for them having a career. They actually told me.
Snoop too.
They told me in Philadelphia, we was at the Spectrum, we was on Run's House tour because JJ Fab was opening up for us on the Run's House tour, and Eazy-E, of course, was on the tour with us. He said, "Yo, where's Schoolie D at?" I said, "Why you want Schoolie?" He's like, "The reason why we even became rappers because of Schoolie." He said, "You gotta take me to Parkside." And now, mind you, Schoolie, I love you. Schoolie, I love you. But I grew up in the inner city of South Philly and North Philly, West Philly. Parkside, yes, I'm saying, was more kind of like upper middle class, right? So I'm like, what? I'm like, that's what
that means Parkside killing.
No, it didn't.
And Parkside was too close to the bottom. It wasn't no middle
class.
No.
Principal before he went off for 60 Minutes. Ed Bradley. Dr. Ed Bradley, and he said to me before he left to go to 60 Minutes, he said, "I want y'all little black boys and little brown girls to go change the world." And that's what I did. I ran.
And that's what y'all did.
That was why I did what I did, because that man, and all the women, he was a good looking man. He was tall. He was like Barack Obama before Barack Obama. Everybody said, "Go change the world," and that's how I still live to this day. Everything I do is trying to change the world.
I know you was about your business. Andre was doing it down in New York. You was doing it in Philly. Everywhere I see you had a briefcase and you had your suit on. You came to handle business. You had the two personas. You had the Schoolie D persona, then you had the Jason Weaver persona. When during the day you was handling your business. And you wasn't. Listen, the thing I loved about that in those days, all y'all had your own labels. You had Schoolie D Records as a teenager.
Good point. Wow.
The man is eclectic. He can do just about anything. It's unbelievable. Schoolie is a very rare and talented and off left field artist. In the words of Eric,
he got his name on it.
In the words of Eric Badu, he really is serious about his shit. He is. I just did gigs with Schoolie like a couple months ago in the real hip hop basement grimy joints, and he's still showing up in the suit. So.
Hey, B.
Liv still got a suit on.
Let me ask you a question, Colby. From a programming executive standpoint in Radio 1, how difficult is it for you dealing with this space and actually directing your on-air personalities and your PDs thing? Like, how difficult is it for you sitting in that seat right now?
It's tough because it's less people and a lot more work. Lady B can tell you about how much we have to do, and we have less people to do it, and a lot of young people work for us. So it's kind of like getting them motivated and not scared and understanding they got to rise to the moment. We work for a company started by a Black woman that was all about the community. If you know anything about Radio 1, Kathy Hughes, you know about WOL, and WOL historically rose to the occasion in Washington, D.C., and now there's 50 plus radio stations across the country, TV One, the network, and so we're rising to the occasion. And so, like right now, I just, B don't even know this, but I literally the last 2 weeks have been raising funds because we're going to do this huge support to feed the community by supporting local Black businesses in all of our markets. The week after Memorial Weekend. So I'm in the process of getting the money together and finally got pretty much most of the funds. And so all of our stations will be supporting our local businesses and all of our markets.
That's big.
And feed our community, because the next big crisis, or it's not even the next one, it's happening right now, is our people don't have food to eat. So we got to figure it out. But I got to say, Schoolie D, when I was in college, I never forget, man, he used to always be at the bank in that white Lincoln. He used to ride around that. And then I'd be on the bus and I would see him all the time. This is when I first got on the radio. But, you know, everybody in Philly would see Schoolie about his business around the city in the middle of his success. And in honor of you tonight, I'm going to play Saturday Night because that's my all-time favorite. Well, Gucci Time and Saturday Night are my two all-time favorites.
Listen, Gucci Time and Saturday Night is like Lottie Dottie in a show. It's one and the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't say that because I'll sound narcissistic, but Go ahead, Charles. Say it again.
Yo, Colby, just I might as well let you know in case you didn't hear it, but I do a hip hop wellness check every day.
Yep.
With all the hip hop artists, and Schoolie was my guest last week.
I heard it. How about that? I was listening.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I literally had to tell the people like, Schoolie's coming on the basement party day, so put the kids out the room because
yeah.
Schoolie's coming on the show.
That was a true story, though.
Yeah.
Do you want to share? Do you want to share your ignorant true story?
It's my ignorant ass true story. I went to the hospital because I thought I woke up and I couldn't use my left hand, my whole left side. So I thought, you know, I'm in my 50s, I'm black, I might be having a stroke. So I packed a bag and went down to the hospital. So I'm in the hospital and they keep me for 2 days. They do MRIs and CAT scans and everything like that. They couldn't find shit, which is a good thing. So the neurologist comes in and says, "What the hell have you been doing with your left hand?" I was like, That was the same time that, remember the porn companies?
Oh, Lord.
My girl
disrupted your nerves.
Hey, nigga, if you don't stop watching that porn, you gonna fucking get your ass out.
That's hilarious.
And in 2020, he told that story on my show a couple days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that happened in real life.
Right, but they checked me out for everything. I didn't have shit. That was a good thing, though, right?
But that's a good thing.
I don't have hypertension or blood pressure or, you know, all other shit.
You got the best hand, though. You got the best hand.
The best hand, literally and figuratively. Hey, Bun.
It's back to working.
Bun, tell us about the Houston Music Foundation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, man. You're doing great work, man. I swear I want to give you another pound.
Oh, thank you. So I've been working with the Altus Foundation. Altus Foundation initially came in through as a finance group, and Altus Wealth Finance, and so they branched out to form a foundation chapter so that they could be active with the same communities that's bringing business into them. And so being in the city of Houston, and they really got going like right around Harvey a couple of years ago. But they've been able to donate over $1.5 million over the last couple of years to the community.
Man, dope.
And so the crazy thing is that they raise this money, they donate this money, they take action, but they don't take credit. And so lately we've been wanting to let people know that while it is good for us to give money and, you know, not really make a big deal out of it, people need to know about places they can go to get things. So we've been trying to give the Altus Foundation as much promotion as possible so that people know that there's another outlet out there that's available to them and ready to help them, you know.
Yeah,
and it's just
it's happening. It's happening here. You know, one of our Eagles gives to this foundation. He gave 115 million the other day.
115 million.
Yeah, he did for this foundation.
What Eagle?
It's in my notes, but he just did it. Look it up on ESPN.
150 million from the NFL because he don't have that.
No, he raised it. Charles, calm down. He raised it for an organization that takes care of families with sick children. And what I have been seeing about this pandemic is it's bringing a lot of bad out of people because people are scared, obviously, understandable, but it's bringing a lot of good. And the way people are coming together to raise these funds to give to people and feeding families. And, you know, they say God makes everything happen for a reason. And if no other reason, it is bringing us together to show each other that we genuinely care. And that we generally can get through something like this together, because we're looking at a government and we're looking at a nation as not caring about us, and we're not even half as bad as what the Indians on the reservations are going through right now. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm going to chime in on that. We don't care enough about our senior citizens. I have a foundation called Angel Stripes. It remedies the candy stripes back in the day, where I want people to volunteer to go take care of a lot of these senior citizens that are overlooked in the home. I mean, these are people too. These are the people that got us to the point where we are. And so many of them are just left to die. They're overlooked. They're mistreated. And it's not fair. So I think that we need to embrace.
It is.
We need to embrace our senior citizens. That is our legacy. Believe it or not, they are the foremothers and fathers for us. And that's what my passion is.
The unfortunate thing about that is that they on the page now. I think
for artists who lost their jobs. Last week we did a concert, 3-day concert.
Y'all should y'all represented.
And we raised close to $100,000 for like all the hardback to people, entertainers who lost their jobs in Philadelphia. We did that last week.
That's amazing. But speaking to what Angie was saying about the senior citizens, what I've noticed, I got a few people that work in the house. My brother in particular, my brother and my sister-in-law, and she said, Charlie, really what's going on right now is especially with the senior citizens, they're really on the page of like, let's get them just out the way. Like they said, the situation happened where one person needed a defibrillator, and they didn't even give it to them. They're just literally letting them just transition, just standing by, letting them transition. It's like you're watching them just lose their lives. These are doctors and nurses there, and they can't override the doctors, so they got to stand there and watch these senior citizens just transition.
Yeah, I've seen some horrible stories. I've seen some horrible, but here's the reality, y'all. And if nothing else comes out of this, it's an eye opener for us, because as a person who has been the nurse and the caregiver for everybody in my family, my mother passed away in this very house that I am sitting in right now. I wouldn't leave her in a nursing home, but when she broke her leg once and I had to leave her in a rehab for 2 weeks, it was the longest 2 weeks of my life. These places have never been in tip-top condition from the door. And the people that are working there are paid very minimal wages, so they have no incentive to grow in their job, and it becomes mundane. And a lot of times, now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that work at those places that are angels, walking angels. But then again, we got a lot of young girls that are just doing it because they just want to get a check at the end of the day, and they have no room for growth or anything. So the nursing homes and assisted living conditions have been bad before. So pile this COVID-19 on top of it.
Yes,
it's 10 times as worse, Ange. You feel me? And those are the people that I'm praying for the most, because every governor, as they give these stats every day and everything that they're saying, they say, well, 55% of these deaths today happen in nursing homes. 75% happen in nursing homes. And there's another 35% that's African American.
Totally disregard senior citizens. Don't worry about the senior citizens. Let's totally disregard them.
That's terrible. I mean, how dare you? Those are the shoulders that we stand on. This thing is a nightmare.
Absolutely. And when you look at all of us, we're up in age now, so that could be a very near future for all of us.
Because I heard Scarface.
So Fab, go ahead, Fab. I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead, Fab.
Go ahead, baby.
I wanted to ask Bun B, how is Scarface doing? Because I understand he got caught up in it. I think I saw something, and how's he doing?
He's doing better right now.
Yeah, I heard he was doing better, right?
Yeah, but like unfortunately, he has like permanent damage to his kidneys, so he's had to start dialysis recently. And the thing is that they're not sure if it's the virus itself or possibly the medication that they're using to treat the virus. The kidneys failed.
See, that's the thing. There's so much we still don't know about this thing, man. This is crazy because it's affecting people. The drugs are affecting people differently, with other conditions. That's why they had to hurry up and take the hydroxychloroquine off the market, because it was making people have heart attacks. Like, everything ain't for everybody, but they're panicking and they're running for any way to try to keep these folks alive. That's the crazy part of it.
Well, Bun B, I want you to get my direct number from Lady B when you get a chance, because I had a friend of mine that was on dialysis, and I got some privileged information from a doctor in Germany where they're taking the kind of medication that actually helps to rejuvenate your kidneys. And he was on dialysis and took this stuff in less than a month. They had to take him off dialysis because his kidneys had rejuvenated. We have just got to know how to treat ourselves and do the right thing. And I'll tell you more when you call me.
Absolutely, I sure will.
That is so dope.
Speaking of the government, in particular, the Texas Lieutenant Governor Patrick.
That's amazing.
He was talking about reopening Texas, and Bun, you had an actual feeling about that. Not wanting that to happen. So
Bun B for president. Bun B for president.
Yeah,
I can be vice president.
We just have to be smart, because sometimes people can't be left up to doing the right things themselves, unfortunately. And
Sometimes
so when they put these kind of measures in action, it's for your own good. It's not to deny you any kind of rights or freedom or whatever. Why would you want to be free in the middle of something like this? And I don't mean that in a sense as like under orders, but why would you want to be out doing everything that you used to do? That's not a reality, right?
It's not a time. I'm mad at the people that stood in line in Atlanta for sneakers. Who you trying to be cute for? Take your behind in the house. What?
Well, what's the point of buying all this stuff right now?
You ain't going nowhere.
There's no
Thank you.
you know.
But that comes with wisdom. You know, when they're young and they have not been educated probably about what's really happening in the world, they're quick to dismiss it. But that's the millennial mentality, and we've got to change that.
Yeah, we
absolutely.
do. Some hard-headed, spoiled little monsters.
So Bun, with all this going on, you still found time to actually teach hip hop and religion at Rice University. So tell us about your class.
Well, obviously we're not teaching right now, but
yes.
You know, I'm a distinguished lecturer at Rice University, and so I co-teach a course on hip hop and religion and Rice's humanities department. So it's not necessarily all about music, but we do like put music in America in its historical context, and we put religion in America in its historical complex and talk about them. For one, we talk about them being both forms of expression and information for Black people from slavery to modern time. It's also the way we build relationships in our community. You tend to only rock with people who believe in the same God that you believe in and who listen to the same music that you believe in. Like that's the building block of building relationships with people, you know? And so we talk about that and how that's always been prevalent in, you know, in the Black society, you know, from slave times. Black people would go to church. That's where they would get their information from. You know, people would go to the movie theater and different places to get their information. And hip hop, you know, since the age of, you know, brothers like Chuck D, and even with Flash and Melly Mel, and you know, with the message, you know, hip hop has been a place as a culture and as an art form for people to get the information that they need to survive their circumstances.
I love it.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah. So at the Schaumburg University, the archive, you have about 120 boxes of material. Can you tell us about your display?
Oh yeah. So the Schaumburg acquired my archives, which really was amazing for me because, you know, I used to think that an archive had to have like lots of flyers and all kind of, you know, written material, but really a lot of it, you know, were notebooks, but also a lot of my video cassettes, which, you know, who even has a VCR these days? But a lot of those videos were things that I, you know, were filming and Yo MTV Raps, like hundreds of tapes of a lot of stuff. And they wanted to get involved in archives from people that have been involved in hip hop. So this is the Schaumburg like center. It's a part of the New York Public Library. It's here in Harlem, and it was like began in the time of the Harlem Renaissance as a repository for history, and became the first.
So important.
Yeah, so it's the first and most important specific institution where the papers of like Langston Hughes and Marcus Garvey, and where the beginnings of Black history in America, everything is documented there. That's people come from all over the world to study. And the young brother Kevin Young is the director, and he's a hip hop head. And I was like, wow, because Cornell University had acquired Bambaataa, a bunch of people's hip hop archives. They've acquired several over the years. And I expected a university would be interested, but the Schaumburg got it. So whenever they finish, what they're gonna do is they're gonna digitize everything, and a lot of stuff will be available at some point when people can come up and, you know, because
especially our children. Our children have to know our history.
Yeah, I just want to say I met Angie Stone back when we were making the movie Wild Style.
Angie B.
Angie B
from the sequence, who then becomes Angie Stone. So it's like, you know, but her and Rodney C from the Funky Forward Couple, and we literally filmed a lot of Wild Style right up the street at a place called the Ecstasy Garage. So when you real hip hop heads see the movie Wild Style and those performances where you see Rodney and Busy Bee battling and the Cold Crushing Fantastic. That's when I met Angie. She'd be
at the Dixie. As a matter of fact, I actually started. They had me actually working behind the scenes with the film. I got so engrossed in it that I was actually working behind the scenes, and I felt important at that time because I'm like, okay, this is history in the making. And we were down at the Dixie making it happen, and you know,
It was the Dixie.
they had a lot. It was a lot of love there and a lot of hard work put into that project. Even off the wheels of, you know, what we went through, Freddie. But
no doubt.
At the end of the day, you pulled it off.
Angie B.
Yeah.
Spoonie sequence is my favorite. What the fuck made y'all do a record together?
Who funk you up?
With G?
What? No, her and Blondie and Cheryl were already friends. No, it wasn't. Tell the story, Cheryl.
Okay.
That's not Cheryl.
I mean, Angie.
Sequence was, we grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. We all went to school together. So we were discovered together.
They were together.
When we were discovered and came to New York or New Jersey, because we were in New Jersey. At that time, we were already a hit in South Carolina, which is how we were discovered. But what ended up happening was Sylvia Robinson acquired all the acts in New York, meaning that, you know, once they saw Sugar Hill and the Sequence, all of those big acts wanted to come over there.
Yeah.
So Grandmaster Flash, the Funky Four, everybody wanted to be. They were over at with Bobby Robinson, but everybody wanted to be at the Hit House. And at that time, they all kind of ran over there. And Sylvia wanted us with Spoonie because Spoonie was sexy. He had that sex appeal. So he's like, I'm gonna put them with the girls. So we just kind of clicked, man. That one for the trouble, two for the time. That was that thing. So at the end of the day, you know, of course, we loved Lady B because she was closer to down south. Like, she was right in the middle. So that was fam to us. And at the end of the day, we kind of all just gelled together. And when they fight and go who was first, I'm like, who cares? We're all standing in the same room right now. So we shouldn't be fighting about a legacy that we all helped to brand.
You know, I gave a speech. No, listen, I gave a speech. Me and Angie both feel this way, but I gave a speech. We had a Women in Hip Hop weekend up New York, and it is, you know, me being the first single female on Wax. Angie and Cheryl and Blondie being the first female group on Wax. There were some sisters who were spitting and dropping bars that didn't have a record deal. You know, shout out to the Mercedes ladies. You know what I mean? Shyrock and everybody. Yeah, right. But you know how women do. So when I gave my speech this weekend, I said, listen, y'all, we are one big cake. You're the eggs, you're the flour, you're the sugar, you're the banana. Without each other, there is no damn cake. It's just a nasty piece.
Thank you.
So
everybody had their role
to play. Let's all get past this and just know that we all had our role to play. And since it was a primarily a male industry, I give all my sisters credit for what we did back then and standing up and holding our ground and doing the damn thing. That's right.
And what we have to remember,
Lady D, but what inspired you to make your record? I need to know.
So you don't know my history? So listen.
Please, share it.
So listen, I'm a young girl. I just got out of high school, right? And my young ass was running around with World Be Free and Daryl Dawkins and them. Like I moved their cars. I parked their cars in different parking spaces.
Players, right?
Yes, the basketball players.
Thank you. Okay.
So I go to New York with World on several occasions, and we're in the courtyard and you know what I mean, in Brownsville, and I learned about hip hop. So we would come home, me, him, and Daryl Dawkins, and you know a whole bunch of other friends, and we would just literally bust rhymes in the living room. That was like our pastime. So then a famous DJ in Philly, his name was Dr. Perry Johnson. He came to me because I started working at this club downtown called Kim Gray's. I was a waitress serving drinks on the floor. And when I put the tray down on my break, I used to go in the DJ booth with a brother named Lawrence Levine. He was all that, he was just sick. But he was the first one that was breaking the break beats down for me to rap over. So I did it as a joke. And then that famous DJ, that popular DJ in Philly came to me and asked me to do a record. I thought he was joking. I told World, yo, they want me to do a record doing that rhyme and stuff that we do in the house. And he was like, and then Sugar Hill came out with the record. He was like, Sugar Hill did one, you might as well do one too. So I hate the song to the day. It was a one-take song. No. Listen, let me tell you why.
No, don't.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I can't stand to the beach, y'all. It took me 45 minutes. There was no second take, third take, whatever. I spit these rhymes. They put it out. It was done. I don't even know who mixed.
Wow.
I love to the beach, y'all. Let me tell you something. It was the rawness and the innocence.
Same thing happened with Roxanne
the innocence.
Yeah, I understand that. No, listen.
Record's dope.
Right, it's dope.
No. All right, so let me tell you the rest of the Great to the Beach All story. So the man that did it stuck me up for all the money. He's the same person that stuck up Frankie Smith.
Well, that's why you are.
Wait. There's more.
4,080.
Listen, it gets better. It gets better. Speaking of Joe Robinson and his gangster stuff went to dude and got my masters and re-released my song and paid me.
Wow.
Okay. Gangster.
Yeah, that's a good story.
That's how Mr. Rob was. Mr. Rob went and got my ish, re-released it. I was right on the song with Sequence. It was an all-female compilation
but he
album.
ain't paid me.
But let me just say this.
Let me tell you, Angie. He had to pay me because I was playing the song. See, you ain't had that.
But let me just say this. In that very early time, when Sugar Hill was some of the only few people making records, a lot of people got it wrong. There was a rawness and a realness that was hard.
Let me tell you something.
Let me just finish though, baby. Hold up. Let me finish. It was a rawness and a realness that I was craving for. I swear to God, we was like, we thought you was somewhere in New York. I'm like, yo, where's Honey on this joint? You did that shit right.
Oh, thank you, Freddie. I appreciate that.
Let me just chime in.
That first crate of records that included all y'all. See, I was in hip hop when it was just a crate, not crates plural. But that first crate of records that I got to play every weekend, all that Sugar Hill enjoy, like I wouldn't give it back for nothing in the world. Then it's nothing like get up, sit back down. Are you kidding me?
Let me chime in really quickly, because if we look at hip hop from yesterday to today, there were levels. And what happened is people were not really paying attention. I asked Sylvia Robinson early in the game because I was a singer in church and I wanted to sing. At that time, nobody was singing on hip hop records. Wow. No one. Wow. They were chanting.
She
but
can
no
sing
one
her
was
butt
singing.
off back then.
So when I said, hey, you sitting over there, when I went into that and ring, ding, dong, when we did all of that, it changed hip hop. It gave hip hop a whole nother set of legs, and people never sit back to acknowledge. They say, oh, you only did one record, but it was an important record. And at the end of the day, Lauryn Hill gives it up because she took the very same angle and made the best hip hop record that a female album that was made today. I have to give shout out to Lauryn Hill, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte. These people kept the thing. I mean, they did the damn thing. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you, just like you just said that you changed hip hop. You were the beginning of that. Right. I was there.
We gave it legs so that people could do this.
You definitely gave it legs. You definitely are the first person to give it legs, and we bow down to you, sister. We bow down.
You too, because guess what? God put a female in the driver's seat. You are in the driver's seat because you was running radio.
I was fighting for my right to play that shit. That's right.
And females, they had to respect females because you was the head NHIC.
But Angie, you had another wave to your career as well, though, and was able to persevere through all of the trials and tribulations of the music business and make
40 years deep in the game. We've been doing this, still relevant. I just won 2 weeks ago. Comeback Indie Artist of the Year. So God is good. Here's my award. Here's my award right here that I just received.
Oh, congratulations!
It shipped it to me last week. So guess what? From 1979 to today, I don't care what they think about me. I'm good.
That's what I'm talking about. Angie, I have an important question for Angie. Angie, Betty Wright. I don't know anybody that worked with her but you. What? Tell me something. Give me some jewels.
Man, let me tell you something. That's the truth. Me and her were born 3 days apart. A lot of people say we remind each other of each other. I talked to her. I flew down to see her a couple of months. We had a wonderful time. We videotaped. We sang. That was the realest of the real. She is the OG. She's the mother of all mothers, but she was a genuinely good person. Never drank, never smoked in her life. Started at 14 years old. And when I tell you, she is the mother of Miami. she put it down. She's the mother of the world, as far as I'm concerned, because she never complained and she kept it moving.
I got a Betty Wright story I'd like to share.
Come on, who's that? Who's that? Come on, Pat.
Yeah, Betty Wright story. So when working on the soundtrack for my film, Grass is Greener, my cousin, Salam Remy, did all the music.
And that's my boy.
There's a scene in the film.
Your cousin?
Yeah, it's a distant cousin, Salam, right? So there's a scene in the film that I pay homage to a bunch of, too many black folks that were murdered by the police, Trayvon, Sandra Bland, Mike, too many. And the cannabis was used in the defense of their killers. So the sequence in the film, I'd always envisioned it with Nina Simone's version of Strange Fruit.
Oh yeah, I saw that on your page, right?
Yes, when we got down to making it, to trying to get the rights, crazy amount of money, it wasn't going to happen. Salam said we could either get a really soulful, tearful gospel song, or I know Betty Wright, who he's worked with, who lives in Miami. He said Betty can re-sing it. I was like, wow, Betty Wright, you mean the cleanup woman?
Wow. Yes.
Got a piano player to do the piano. Betty did the vocals, and she was technologically astute. Recorded 2 tapes, shot it to us, and then that's her version of Strange Fruit in that sequence. And then she told us that I couldn't do no more than 2 takes because it was reminding me of stuff that went on in the South, and my voice was cracking. Which that was my Betty Wright story.
That's the most beautiful
That was my best friend.
So moving.
My best friend in the industry. Betty Wright was my best friend and mentor.
My deepest condolences. Go ahead.
Angie, when I was in Atlanta and I bought Angie Stone records, I loved it, and I'm listening to that shit. I'm like, man, this chick sounds familiar. I bet you everybody said that. Said, man, I start reading the fucking labels. I couldn't find out shit until I moved back to Philly and somebody told me it was you. So you changed it. Your voice was there in the beginning, and your voice was then there. It just shone through. It just touched me back then.
Thank you.
Her journey was the right way.
No, what was really interesting. They did a verses last week with Erykah Badu and Jill.
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
But I actually credit Angie Stone, you saying, for ushering that neo sound in. You know what I mean? So definitely, can you speak to that?
Yeah. Well, actually, I did a new record. I did a song with Chuck D. Me and Ice-T probably did a song, and the new album is called "Cause That Nigga Crazy." That's why. And it's dedicated to Richard Pryor's record. That nigga's crazy.
That's Richard's stand-up album.
Yeah, and it should be out in July.
Yo, I heard the cut, y'all. I have to admit, it is so friggin' dope. It is.
Yo, that's what's up. Congratulations.
Y'all are gonna love this. Y'all gonna love this. It's bananas. It's bananas.
It is.
So Colby, talking about great stories, you have this platform called The Backstory. Can you tell us about the backstory and give us probably your most memorable stories you told on there?
Well, the Backstory podcast is actually I name dropped a lot of people on this episode of Behind the Rhyme are in stories. So I've been in the business since 1986 and was able to interview a lot of people on their come up. And I was a pack rat and I saved everything. So I created a Backstory podcast so that I could actually tell the story of the artist. So you know, what was Run DMC like when after 10 years after their success, you know, and they were looking at all of the great artists in the 90s, what was their opinions? And I have this audio that I share of Charlie, me, Run DMC, Jam Master Jay, just talking about hip hop in 1995. You know, what was Jay-Z like, you know, 2 years before Reasonable Doubt came out? What was Nas like before Illmatic? I just released Slick Rick. Slick Rick is one of the all-time greatest MCs ever, greatest storyteller. I actually tell a story. So when you listen to the Backstory podcast, you'll learn about the history of an artist, but it's almost like an audio Wikipedia. So if somebody wanted to do a history paper on an artist, they'd be able to pull that information up. I just did the Wu-Tang this season. I did Quincy Jones. I did Barack Obama. And I tell an artist or a person's story, and I layer in content from the time when they were starting, and then you get to really feel what it was like, and I'm really excited about it. And it's a real creative outlet for me. And I kind of name drop a lot of you all. I mean, FREDDY, I talk about you in one of the episodes. Lady B, I mean, I was Lady B's intern, so I talk a little bit about that.
Stop saying that. You make me sound old.
Well, I mean,
you don't look it.
We all seasoned, but I also talk about the socio-economic realities of the Black community and where hip hop came from. I'm a Philly person at heart, but my family lives in New York City, so I grew up between Philly and New York, and I actually watched hip hop be born. And I came to Philly, and I was like, "This is great." Then I was listening to Lady B, and I tell the story in the LL podcast about hearing LL on the 16th birthday at After Midnight. And I was like, wow, this kid is my age, and listen to this guy on the radio. And so I tell all these stories, and it's really cool. I got a lot of great artists, contemporary artists. I've interviewed everybody from the artists of the 80s to artists of today. So thank you, Charlie, for allowing me this platform. But the Backstory podcast is a really special one, and Slick Rick is the latest. And literally, I tell the story of one of the greatest artists that ever come out, and all of what he went through, and even not just the crime and what happened to him and him going to jail, but just the immigration stuff that we're talking about now. He was going through that. George Bush didn't want him to stay in this country. George Bush wanted to send him back after 9/11.
Remember, they snatched him off the Tom Joyner cruise. Remember, they snatched him off.
Yeah, he came back from the Tom Joyner cruise. So I actually have audio of him. When I interviewed him in 1999, we talked all about jail, all about what happened to him in jail. And you don't really hear a lot of that stuff out there. And he was so humbled when he got home from jail to like just be still in hip hop. And in the 1999, hip hop had gone through a whole renaissance in the 10 years since his first album had come out. And he was able to see the love and the inspiration. And there's one thing that I found out, the show, I mean, Lottie Dottie has been sampled 990 times in music since it came out. His album was sampled over, songs from his debut album was sampled over 400 times. Like,
that's
other
crazy.
People were so inspired by his music. And so that's what the Backstory podcast is about.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. But speaking of being sampled, listen, speaking of being sampled,
right here.
Speaking of, that's amazing.
Get on it, bro.
I'm on it, goddamn it. I'm on it, doggone it.
Hey, but Colby,
I'm
subscribing.
But listen, I'm talking to the room about this. So talking about sampling, this right here was sampled 750 times. This stuff is really fresh. FREDDY, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I even learned how to cut that. This stuff.
Literally, it was scratched, I mean, over 1,000 times. It was like the most scratched record. I don't know. It was unbelievable. Thanks to DXT, he used it on
DXT. Wow.
It had that sound.
Yeah, he was the first one who used it on Herbie Hancock's Rocket.
Yeah.
And it was just a domino effect where mad dope DJs, that became the definitive sound of scratching. And it happened to be this weird thing I did where I said, this stuff is really fresh on the end of this record. That
I practiced scratching it forever and ever. That was my shit.
Yeah.
Really fresh.
It's the way it had that little like shape thing to it. That's what made it so dope.
Yeah.
Hey,
I want to say though, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, the last year or so, and it's amazing how it's emerged. And this is such a great idea. I'm all over it. But a buddy of mine, sadly, that passed away too, Reggie Osei, aka Combat Jack.
He's the inspiration. The making of the mogul was my inspiration for doing the podcast.
Listen,
that was amazing.
This podcast on the life and death of Chris Lighty, which is about 6 or 7 parts. I've had meetings with people in the podcast. Lane who don't even know I know him, that referenced that as an example of a great documentary podcast, the way Reggie did that. Mogul, which you can find. It's a real special. It made me go, wow, this is on the move. And that idea you have is dope. I'm on it.
So dope.
That's dope. So there's a question came in, and is actually for Bun B. The question is what's your most memorable time with UGK?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wow, that's a great question. I can't really say the most memorable. Probably those last recording sessions with Pimp. before he passed away. But I do remember like us being invited to Summer Jam. That was different. We were actually come up to perform Big Pimpin' with Jay-Z at Summer Jam.
Hard, heavy record.
Were you nervous?
No,
not really, because I had performed like my biggest performance was at Glastonbury.
Wow. Cool.
Wow. With who? With who?
At the main stage. That was about 120,000 people.
That's like the whole New York thing didn't bother you. You was good with it.
No, I mean I wanted to be in the company of those brothers. You know what I'm saying? That's not a stage that many Southern artists have been able to get on.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And we were like the last song of the night. So it was like a big deal. So I got to see everybody rock and watch everybody perform and just kind of be backstage at a Hot 97 event. And that was interesting to see and be a part of, man. It was a big thing. Jay-Z was the biggest thing since sliced bread at that time.
Right.
That record was crazy.
That record was the #1 record in the world that year. No record.
Think about this, Bun B. Jay-Z years earlier put Michael Jackson out on stage. So to bring you out, think about all of the people that he has brought out on that stage.
Yeah, right.
Michael Jackson and UGK. That's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's good company. That's good company.
It is. Yeah, it is. You deserve it though.
So is that your most fond memory of UGK?
I think my fondest memory of UGK was, like I said, probably the last recording session, because we had both went out to California to finish the album, and the last song that we made was called Heaven, and it was about whether or not it was a heaven for us. And so that was the last song that we recorded together before he passed away and transitioned. And so I always, whenever I listen to that record, it gives me a good feeling, because I know he's in a better place now.
Wow. That's so beautiful. Wow.
It's real right there. That's real.
Yeah, that's real. Don't get no realer than that. You know what I'm saying? It don't get no realer than that. I want to tap on something. I want all of us to walk away from this episode with is the importance that we exercise our right to vote and how we get our people to come out right now. I know we can't come out and be together physically, but through the power of this technology, we all have to stay steadfast in doing just that.
Yeah.
We got to come out like when Barack was running, and even more.
We do. Right. November 3rd. Let's make it happen.
Speaking about voting, I'm saying let's go to another degree. Let's go to another level and talk about the young man, Ahmaud Arbery, and the situation down there in Georgia. What's y'all feeling about that? What's y'all feeling about that?
Horrible.
That's to the room. That's to the room. What do y'all think? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Because I've heard a lot of different things. What do you think?
The thing that I have to say about that case, and it's ironic that, not ironic, it's just a tragedy that we have to keep repeating this, but it's similar to Trayvon in a way.
Yes.
That, and I just hope it doesn't.
The whole citizen arrest thing.
And they're gonna plead not guilty. And then what is the defense going to be? And I can only think of that nightmare that Trayvon's family and the rest of us had to endure with George Zimmerman.
Well, I think it's different because, of course, George Zimmerman could say he essentially walked up on him. They actually tracked him down. They got in their cars and followed him. He's running the street. But listen,
he was hunted.
And listen, you got to think about it. You got a rifle, you got guns on you, right? So I'm saying, what danger was he to you? Even if you want to call the cops and actually do a citizen arrest, you can hold him at bay.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
he's got his back turned to him.
It's about not respecting us as people of color. We just don't get that respect from the door. It's always we got to protect ourselves. Like we gotta be calm. We can't react, because if we react emotionally, they'll kill us. And you know what? I know you were talking about this, but and Fab, you may have seen this, but I saw a video yesterday of a Black woman or Hispanic woman in New York City who was getting into it with the cops because she didn't have her mask on correctly. And she had her 3-year-old with her, and they wrestled her to the ground. 5 police officers arrest this woman in front of her 3-year-old child, who's looking at her like, what is going on? And this kid will be forever traumatized. And they would not do that to a white kid. They were not doing that to white people park. And you saw the cop last week who confronted the Black guy and told him what you flexing, and then hurt him.
Yeah.
So going back to Ahmaud, they don't view us as human. They don't view us as like them, and so they make decisions on our life like we're just we're nobody. And then the prosecutor in Georgia was like, oh, it's self-defense. Like you know, he didn't even think of arresting these guys because we are less than human to them.
I need him to go to jail too.
They said they're gonna arrest the camera guy too.
Why?
Who had a gun? He had a gun. Did you hear the gun?
Because he was stalking, and now he's trying to say, "Oh, I was just filming," but he was down with the program in terms of the sensibility.
Well, he said yesterday that he was getting death threats for releasing the video, so I'm confused.
Yeah, because he had something to do with it. That's why.
And let's think about this. Those two guys have been, somebody raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for them.
Wow.
The two white guys.
Wow.
Already?
Think about that.
For their defense.
Oh yeah.
For their defense.
It's that much hatred in the world. I mean, we have two other cases that happened in this past week. I mean, the sister, and I think it was in Louisville, she got they bust into her house with a no-knock warrant.
Right, a sister.
And took her life. Right. I talked about that.
It happened a month ago, and it's just
in April, and it's just coming out now. And there's another footage of a cop who kid was on Facebook Live and laughed over his body and said this was going to be a closed casket, homie. This virus is making those law enforcement people who are already prejudiced and already hateful, it's taking their adrenaline on 10 as well right about now, and it's scary. That's real scary.
Let me say this.
I want my boys to stay home.
Let me say this. You know, as much as we don't want to believe the conspiracy theory, it is getting worse by the second. This COVID-19, in my opinion, is nothing but a mask. We're hiding behind masks, but the COVID-19 is a mask itself. And what we have to realize when they start calling out the National Guard, the Army, and everybody else, they're getting ready to replicate a mass control system that where they're going to be kicking your doors in. They're going to be demanding that you take this chip and all this other stuff, and people are really dismissing that, but that's prophecy. And at the end of the day, we're worrying about one cop. What they've done in the last 5 years is traditionally start to train us to accept that kind of behavior. From Trayvon on up until today, it's been okay for them to treat us like we're animals. So when it starts to become a major issue, when the National Guard and everybody else is given the green light to dust us off, we have now been programmed to fear them, to fear our own family members, to fear our neighbors. So we will not run out and help anybody because we're so scared we're going to get the virus. We're going to, something crazy is going to happen. And as a result, when is it okay to be okay with somebody killing somebody in your presence and you turn your cheek? It's not cool. But they're conditioning us to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And one thing
I'm gonna need you to say some of us though, because I'm gonna need you to say some of us.
When the Panther Party was in place, and they can talk about Farrakhan, they can talk about all these people, but when we rise as a people and we come together, they fear us because they know that if we ever decide to come together, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the reality is they are the minority.
The complexion of the country is changing dramatically, though, and that's what the fear is all about. That white people will be minorities in the next 50
and
years.
they don't want that. And as a result, they stay in the majority rule. And what they do is they act in groups. They push the envelope to the next level. And as a result, we have basically dumbed down our reality, and we are the stronger of the two. And we have to just believe that, and we have to walk in it, knowing that we are kings and queens. The minute we start to do that and trust God, give him the authority that he's given us as people, we can be okay. We can't be okay operating in fear from a man that was supposed to be created equul. What is that about?
That's right. Talk about it, sis. Talk about it.
I think the start of all of this is once again, November 3rd, we got to vote.
Or die.
I think a lot of this also is a reaction.
You said it, vote or die.
Hold on. Yeah, vote or die. But I think a lot of this that we're dealing with is the reaction that people had to the last president. You know what I mean? And understanding that nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? That kind of was like, could be like we was on the road to something that's a lot better in the whole history of this country. So we got to get out there and vote and make sure that we exercise those powers that we do have. So all of those things that Angie is talking about could come, we could stop that. You feel me? That's what we got to do. We got to stop that. That's all we got to do.
Well,
I'll take care of myself.
Voting is a life or death decision that you have to make, and I think a lot of people, if you've learned anything from the last 3.5 years in America, is that one person does make a difference, right? One person has made a difference politically. You as one person can make a difference and vote. And I don't know if you all saw the Becoming Michelle Obama's documentary yet on Netflix, but she talked about the disappointment in our people, really people of color, who did not support and vote in 2014, in 2012, in 2010, when we needed support in Congress, not just when it was time to vote for Barack Obama.
Yeah,
and I think people are really starting to realize now that voting is so important. I mean, Diddy was onto it when he said vote or die, and he was doing all that years ago.
True.
Because look at all of the people that have died.
Right now, it's serious though. You really need to vote or die.
Yeah, no, seriously.
No, vote or keep dying. No, vote or keep dying.
Okay, or continue to die.
Right. Hey, Bun. Go ahead, Colby.
And George Bush winning that election changed the trajectory of the whole entire country. We
true.
wouldn't have had all these wars. We wouldn't have had 9/11. All of these things occurred in that 2000 election because the vote was close. And when it's close, they figure out a way to win. And the vote was close when it was Clinton and Trump, and they figured out a way to win. And so November 3rd is, I talk to so many people. People are more engaged now than ever, but we're gonna have to show up, and they're making it hard for you. And they making it.
No, we got to show up harder than we did for Barack. We got to show up harder than we did for Barack, because you can't leave it in nobody's hands.
It's going to get worse, guys, because now with people not working, with people not being able to get back on jobs, the Social Security Act is going to be done away with. You won't be able to get any unemployment. They're going to have their thumb on everybody's neck, and they're going to use that as a requisite to make you take that chip, which in my opinion is the mark of the beast. And a lot of people are not going to be able to stand under that pressure. Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah, I'm not doing no vex. I'm not doing it. But hey, with that being said, Bun, I'm saying with the way the politics.
Bun know what time it is.
No, but I want to, because I know Bun is definitely politically inclined. So, do you have any aspirations of running for office yourself?
That's what I want to know.
I've thought about it several times. The reality is like to run for a public office is to use the resources made available to that position in order to help your community. I'm already in a position with a particular set of resources I have at my disposal to help my community without having to be beholden to people, and when I say beholden to people, I don't mean like my constituency or anything like that, but to the powers that be. Every time I've been asked to run for city council, anytime I've been asked to run for like city council or for mayor or something, it's been by, individuals. And I feel like those individuals could potentially represent special interest groups that are going to come looking for that favor back, And in my city and my community, I've been able to bring things together, bring people together, do my part for my fellow man and help them without having to, because the minute you're elected like the mayor of a city, half the city already hates you. Because you're not the mayor that they wanted,
Yeah, you're not their choice.
So those people spend all their time trying to undermine you. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a private citizen, I have more flexibility and more capability to really get deep into what's going on.
Speak.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I've had a theory about that because, of course, in my city, what I've been doing for years, everybody wants you to go, like you said, they want you to run for city council. And what I like to call it is goodwill, because order enough for me, what I feel about politics is that order enough for me to help Lady B out, I got to mess over Angie B. And I'm saying, got to make her believe I'm treating her as good as I'm treating Lady B. So for me, I'm saying what I do is goodwill. You can't hold me to no, I'm saying I'm doing it from my heart. I can decide today or tomorrow, I want to leave and go to Budapest and never come back. I'm doing it from my heart. And that's for me, that's why I want to get caught up in it. Because again, I remember when West Philly High School got the computers taken away from them. It was over $75,000 worth of computers. And I talked to Will and Jada. They send me the money to go purchase the computers. This happened on Friday. I picked the computers up on Saturday, go deliver them on Monday. They tell me, you got to take that down to the school. And I couldn't deliver them directly to the school. I'm like, well, no, that's not what I want to do. I bought them so the kids could get back. Because I'm like, if they don't have computers for 3 or 4 days a week, they're going to be way behind. So for me, I wanted to get them computers back to them so they wouldn't lose ground. So all the political red tape, and that's what it is. That nasty word is political. That nasty word is political. I hate. That's why I was asking you, Bun, for you. And I feel like when you get into politics, it's I believe you got to pass Bull S 101. You know what I mean? You got to make one group of people believe, the have-nots, that you're going to treat them fair. And the fortunate ones are going to benefit. So where do you find a balance of that for you, sitting in a position where I'm saying you've elevated yourself in terms of your life, but you know what I mean? But at the same time, you come from the have-nots. You come from the people, from the village.
Yeah, and I think about it in terms of what it would mean for hip hop to have an artist be that kind of an elected official. And Scarface ran for city council this year. It's Willie D ran for city council this year as well.
Do it all.
Yeah. Face took it to a runoff, but then he lost in the runoff. So Face was very close to being the councilman for the community that he grew up in. But it's just a level of commitment that you have to really have. It has to be your day job. I think it would be very hard for me to be the mayor of a city and be available to the city in the way that they need me available and still kind of do hip hop as a career. Whenever, a city employee gets hurt or killed, like if a policeman gets shot or a fireman gets injured in a fire.
Whatever, it's the city business, right?
Exactly.
It's the mayor's job to contact those families. You know what I'm saying? When the policeman is killed in the city, it's the mayor's job to find the people that commit that crime and make people feel safe in their city again. So there's a major commitment that one has to make when they decide to run for these kind of public offices. And I feel like I still got some other stuff I can do and some other ways I can help. And I didn't want to get in the way of the brother that was running for mayor right now anyway. I think he's doing a fantastic job. He's doing the best he can given with what he's got. Yeah. But the people support him and they reelected him. And so, until then, I'm going to do my part. I'm always available to him. He and I communicate fairly regularly because there's different neighborhoods that we both have a deep concern for, and we're trying to find different ways to help the people of those neighborhoods. But, I love the connection that I have with my city. I love that the position that I'm in, that I have, been able to rise to in my city, and the way that my city looks at me and holds me in high regard and high esteem.
Yeah, respect.
And, it's purely because of the way that I've been able to not just take from the community in terms of being an entertainer, but what I'm willing to give back to my community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's the way you do the things you do, good brother. I tell you, I'm a fan.
Thank you.
On a lighter note, but definitely driven, the Michael Jordan doc, Last Dance, featured one of Fab Five Freddy's songs, Step Into the World. Blondie. You know what I mean? So my understanding is, tell me about that.
That was a crazy time, wasn't it, Fred?
Yo, yeah, they were like angels to me, like meeting them and then, hanging out and them listening to my ideas about wanting to be an artist. They were beneficial to myself and a homie I used to run with. You might see his picture on that post over my shoulder. Yeah, me and John was running together downtown and trying to be artists, graffiti artists. I had ideas that became the movie Wild Style, and they would listen to all my ideas, and they were very supportive. In fact, a lot of people don't know this story. Angie is going to attest. She I think was in the mix with Rodney. So when they got to host Saturday Night Live back then, the group got to pick who the other act, the opening act, if you will, on Saturday Night Live was. And I had talked to them about hip hop and all these ideas. So they said, well, we want to have a rap group come on the show. Who do you think it should be? Well, I was like, well, Flash and the Furious, they were the biggest. But I said, but there's a group, the Funky 4+1, that also has a girl in the front like you guys. And so the Funky 4+1 were the first rap group to perform on national television.
Sure
was. Yeah, that was your booking. That was your booking.
Yes.
That's that history.
And that was a big deal.
That was a major deal. Are you crazy?
Deal.
We were so hyped about that.
And they didn't have the biggest record. Sugar Hill had the biggest record.
That's
So
right.
they got on the show.
That's the joint. That was a big New York record. That's the joint.
What I'm saying,
it was big down here too.
Yes,
no. It was a big record. What I'm saying is Sugar Hill was out the gates first, and Sylvia wanted them to be on before the Funky, and they wasn't having it. So I think that it went to who it was supposed to go to, and as a result, that was the first group to ever do a national television show. So everybody have their
I also have to tell you all that and when we were making Wild Style, it was always going to be the whole Funky Four featured in the movie. During the process of making the movie, Rodney wasn't happy with the deal he had. Him and KK didn't like the way the business was going down. Rodney's smart. So Rodney was ready to break away. The whole group was at first, but then the other ones didn't want to rock. So Rodney and KK broke off. The rap that he performs in the movie is a rap that he wrote about the way they were treated. So everything he's talking about is about that situation with the breakup of Funky Four.
Here's a little story that must be told about two cool brothers that were put on hold. They tried to hold that.
And they killed the neck. And they killed the neck. They walk on our
step on our ego and step on our pride. The true brothers stand side by side through thick and thin from beginning to end. The battle we lost, but the war will win. Cause Double Trouble is in the house.
Oh my God, I love her. I love. Why do you remember all that? Why?
I'm saying before we wrap up, this has been a great time.
I was married to the man. Come on.
I want to thank Colby Colb. I want to thank Bun B. I want to thank Angie Stone. I want to thank Angie B.
Thank you.
I want to thank the PSK King, Wild Man in the Room, Schoolie D. I want to thank Fab. But Fab, before we actually throw to one of the wonders of the world,
I get to introduce him. He's my partner.
You do. Okay. Hey, Fab, you just slid over that, but I ain't gonna just slide over it. You said Basquiat, and I know you got a piece of art from him. Can you show us that piece of art, please?
Wow.
Well, actually, the Basquiat pieces that I have are not here now. Like
wow.
This shit got so crazy for my man. I can't keep them joints in the house. So
I don't blame you.
They got to be in another level of storage.
I know that's right. I ain't mad at you for that.
But it's just crazy. It's so fantastic what happened to his legacy. He died way too young. 27. He's in that unfortunate crew like with Jimi Hendrix and too many people way back then died at 27. But it's amazing to see the vision that he had that we talked about for carving out spaces for the culture. I mean, he's like Picasso of this era. There's museum shows that never stop for the homie, and it's just such a special thing.
How great of a job did Jeffrey Wright do? I'm asking you.
Let me tell you.
Did he do a great job?
Tell you, just great. Jeffrey Wright did something to me beyond acting. It was channeling.
Embodying.
It was channeling because it was so surreal. And so many people at New Jean say that. So me and Jeffrey are tight because of that, because he did something that, and other actors can do that. They can become a character in ways that is surreal. And Jeffrey really did that. Yeah.
Okay. So B, take it over, B.
All right. So once again, I want to thank y'all for joining us for another episode of Behind the Rhyme. Godspeed to you and your families. Continue to stay safe and all that good stuff. I happen to be blessed with my young boy. He is the world's #1 blind DJ, the only blind DJ I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, wow.
But this brother is so dope. His name is Touchtone.
He's blind for real. He can't see.
He's my partner. He's my partner every day. This man, I believe he can see. He does his own. He can bowl. We go bowling. I'm taking him on vacation.
So he's running around the studio. He's ran around the studio.
He walks around like no dog, no cane, no nothing.
He gives directions when you drive.
But let me tell you, his skills on the ones and twos are. Y'all get right here in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, my partner, the one and only, the incomparable DJ Touchtone.
All right. Thank y'all all.